listen up. This is the Music Scene Podcast. I am your host, Dave Kudrak. We are at episode 10, ladies and gentlemen. Not too shabby. Started this podcast back in October. And things are going pretty well. Feedback's been pretty positive. I hope you're all doing well. I was this past Monday, I was supposed to do a guest speaking engagement at the Fire Monday meetup in Philadelphia. It's an open mic that they have once a month where they have a networking event and then they have a guest speaker and then they do an open mic. Unfortunately, Mother Nature had other plans and it got canceled, or I should say postponed, due to the snow that we had here in the Northeast. So that next one is going to be Monday, February 3rd, and I will be the guest speaker for that. So hopefully the weather holds out and we can get that one in the books. I'm pretty excited about it. Looking forward to doing it. I've never done something like that, being invited as a guest speaker to talk about music and podcasts and things like that. So very excited about it. Hoping to meet some great people. I've never been to that open mic before. I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, today's guest is Michael Naphys. I know a lot of you probably have seen him around on the music scene here in South Jersey. He is an acoustic punk rock solo artist. However, he does have 2 albums out with a 3rd album coming out in a few months. And on those albums, there is a full band. But when he plays live gigs, he is a solo acoustic musician doing primarily covers, but then he always throws in a few of his original songs as well. He's definitely a great kid. I think he's doing a great job. He's been gigging for about a year, so I'm very happy for him. His family is super supportive, going to all of his gigs and also sharing posts not only from Michael, but then also from other musicians around the scene as well. So, he was a great guest. I enjoyed talking to him. I hope you guys enjoy it. Here's my conversation with Michael Naphys. All right, we are here with Mike Naphys, or Michael Naphys, either or. Thanks for being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dave.
Hey, man, you're welcome.
Yeah, man.
So we've known each other for a little while. I think I've known you for maybe about a year or so. I saw you at a couple of the open mics, and then you were at my one show at Tanner Brewing Company in Haddon Township, which you played a couple songs during my break, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, man.
So we're just going to kind of go through the normal stuff like we always do on this podcast. Tell me kind of how you got started playing music and...
Yeah, so I always was a fan of music growing up and stuff. I remember the way I really got into music was my dad always had CDs and cassettes in his car and stuff. And I think the first musical influences that I had that I really was into was like Queen and Offspring and remember Jet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love Jet and stuff like that. And and AC/DC. That was the one that really made me want to...
Well, that's why you like Jet, because Jet's very AC/DC-ish, in my opinion.
Very. Yeah. And then as I got older, I started getting into percussion. I actually started off on drums in school.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then I remember... So I always did like karate after school because my parents always wanted me to do some after school, and I hated it. So eventually they were like, well, I was like, well, I want to stop doing it. And they were like, well, what do you want to do? I was like Foo Fighters. I always knew that Dave Grohl played drums, sang, and played guitar. So I'm like, well, I want to play guitar. Nice. That's kind of how it started. And I played guitar I think I started when I was like 12. And then eventually when I was 18, I never could put my head around, okay, well, how does somebody play and sing? It just, it couldn't work for me. And then eventually I just started trying when I was like 18. And I started learning songs, and some of the first songs I learned were by like Social Distortion and like a lot of like older emo stuff. But I eventually expanded like the amount of songs that I played, and eventually I just started writing, and somehow I've gotten here, and I'm currently working on the 3rd album, almost done it. So
that's awesome. Congratulations. Yeah. Yep. So you've got 2 albums out now. What are the name of those?
The name of the first one is Coming Out of My Shell. The second album is titled Armageddon, Here We Come. They're very pessimistic.
Yeah. So when did that first album come out?
First album came out in, I think it was May of 2023. I think it was.
All right.
Whatever month it was, they all run together for me. But it was 2023.
2023, and then So that was the first album, and then the Armageddon one?
That came out in June 2024.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
so we're talking 7 months ago, and you're already working on your third?
Yeah, I'm almost
That's
finished
awesome.
it. Yeah, I'm really
Fantastic.
it's pretty much the process is I finish that and I'm like, okay, I gotta start writing for the next one.
Okay,
And
cool.
it just, yeah, it's fun, but I know after this one I'm taking a step back because the past 3 years have just been, okay, I finished this album, I gotta work on the next one. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a breather.
Yeah. So for those people out there who are not familiar with you, how would you describe your style, and who are your influences?
I guess my style, well, it's kind of like acoustic punk and stuff. I think my style is very much protest music, and I think style-wise, I think my biggest influences as far as writing, as far as making my songs, are probably like Bad Religion, Descendants, and even influences with like The Cure and Richie Havens, even with like guitar playing and stuff, like a lot of folksy sort of stuff.
Cool. Cool. Where did those influences come from? I assume sometime when you were little, or?
Yeah, Richie Havens, because I watched the Woodstock movie when I was younger, and my dad was always into classic rock, and I always thought his voice sounded cool, but I always remembered he had like the really rapid like a strumming style with rhythm guitar. Yep. I always thought that was really neat because it sounded like a whole band instead of just one guy. I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And The Cure, and I also forgot to mention the Smiths was another big influence because they were more like alternative goth music, and their stuff always kind of blended together with punk music. And I was always part of like the crowd that listened to like a lot of, like hardcore, a lot of punk, a lot of metal when I was in high school and stuff. And that's where I think I really got into it and stuff.
Nice. So I've seen you out on the scene. You do a lot of acoustic solo gigs, right? How did that start coming about? When did you start playing out?
I started playing out, I think last year. I saw a lot of people like you, for example, were playing a lot of places, and I was like, oh, that would be cool, because I wanted to naturally build up to that, and I figured it would be a good way to get my name out there. A lot of people would see me and stuff. I think I asked you, I think at Little Lee's one time, and I wanted to thank you. You really gave me a lot of help with, like, getting stuff together, reaching out to people and stuff, and that's kind of how it started. I figured it was a good way to get my name out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that is the first time we actually met at the open mic at Little Lee's that I host. Yeah, I think that might have been the first time we met.
I think we ran into each other a little. Like I think I ran into you at Core 3 long time ago.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I don't think we actually had a conversation until Little Lee's.
Right.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I was always very shy. I don't. I'm able to approach people a lot more now. But back then I was like, I'm too nervous.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know you're significantly younger than I am. I'm an old man. How old are you now?
I'm 27 years old.
27. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So you've been playing guitar for, I don't know, 20-ish years.
Yeah.
Right? So that's great, 15, 20 years. Any other instruments? I know you've mentioned percussion and stuff. So
yeah, I picked up banjo last year.
Did you really?
Yeah. It's been fun. It's a really weird instrument. A really weird sound. It's a lot louder than you'd think. They're a lot heavier than you think too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's surprising.
How did that come about?
So I always was into like a lot of older like folk and country music, like Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie and stuff, Narlo Guthrie.
Okay.
And I always listen to newer folk music. And there's this guy called Amigo the Devil. He's like and I heard his music, and I'm like, oh, banjo's cool now. It's not like some like like old, because I always interpreted banjos as, oh, that's the thing that the country guys played in like the 40s and 50s, like for older stuff. But then I heard somebody doing it, like playing it, and he was singing these songs about like murder and all this weird stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I want to pick up the banjo.
I had never heard of Amigo the Devil until my friend Heath, who comes to the open mic at Little Lee's quite a bit, he talked about him one time, and I was like, who is that? And he's like, oh, you got to look him up. He's insane. He's like this, punk guy, plays banjo and whatever else, and like you said, like the subject matter of his songs are super dark.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the first song I heard where I really wanted to play banjo was a song called "Perfect Wife." Mm-hmm. It was just about a guy that just it's an awful song. I mean, it's just, I don't even want to say what it's about because it's so bad. But I'm like, oh, that banjo sounds cool though.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, oh my god.
So if anybody out there is interested in like some super dark subject matter, go check out Amigo the Devil. Sure.
He's great.
Yeah. So before we started recording, you were saying that you were looking to start a full band. So tell me a little bit about that. How did that kind of come to fruition, or at least how did you have the idea, or when did that first start, and where's it going now?
So I first had the idea when I was, so I'm like, Facebook friends with a lot of people in like the Philadelphia punk scene. And I want to form a punk band too. And I always thought that stuff looked really fun and really cool. And I want to get in on it because I see people doing, like the two-step and like this like slam dancing and stuff. I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. And because I describe my sound and my music as like punk music, I love to have a full band because you can only sound so punk with an acoustic guitar. but when you have a full band and stuff, I think that would be really fun to do.
Yeah, sure.
And,
so I assume you'd be playing electric guitar then?
Yeah. I have one, believe it or not. I don't think I've ever...
I've never seen it.
Yeah, funny enough, on my next album, I actually have songs where I'm playing electric guitar.
Nice.
So,
very cool.
First time for everything.
Nice. Well, I've heard your 2 previous albums. I've listened to them a couple times. And you do have like full instrumentation on those albums.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So who plays those albums? Do you hire studio musicians? How's that work?
Yeah. So a shout out to these guys. The studio itself is owned and ran by Tony Mascara. He's a great drummer. It's down in Millville. It's called the Audio Lab. He actually provides drum tracks for the albums and stuff. He's done drums on all of my albums. And the electric guitar player and bass player I hired, the bass player's name is Ron Lang, and the electric guitar player's name is Steve LaCastro. They're both musicians from Pittman, and they actually are in a couple of bands. The one major band that they're in is called the Texas Legs.
Oh, and, yeah, I've heard of them. Yep.
Yeah, and that's how I met those guys.
Okay.
Also, shout out to Bill Roth, who also has collaborated with those guys on his album. He's the one that actually put me in contact with Tony.
Oh, cool.
Like way back, but like in like 2022 and stuff. Because I knew all those guys from Human Village Brewing Company who used to have that was on Broadway and stuff down in Pittman, and that it used to be called the Bus Stop Cafe, and unfortunately they shut down and stuff. But they were. I used to go to the open mic, and that's actually the scene where I actually got my start in trying to perform places.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was fun time.
It was Human Village at the time, right?
Yeah, Human Village.
Yeah, I've never been there. I know Leanne talks about it quite a bit because I think she went there back in the day before they closed. How did you decide to go from kind of the typical kid playing guitar in his bedroom to deciding that you want to go out and play in front of people?
I figured it was a great confidence builder. I always thought that because I always had like social anxiety and terrible stage fright, and I figured I wanted to get over that. And because my end goal was, I always said, even when I was younger in high school, I was like, I want to make an album. That's my goal. And I knew that eventually I was going to have to be able to play in front of people. That's a natural step. Yep. But I was always so afraid. And I heard about because I remember a place I was working at the time, I talked to somebody and they were like, well, because I was like, how do you meet musicians? How do you see these, find these people? And they're like, go to an open mic. So I remember Human Village had an open mic, and I went there, and it's actually on my YouTube channel still. One of my first videos is my first open mic there. And I remember I played I think a Neil Young song, a Cure song, and I think an REM song. I remember halfway through, I was playing Just Like Heaven. Halfway through, I think my guitar strap fell off. And I was like, oh, crap. Yeah, I remember Jacob Graff is another musician down there. He was running the open mic at the time, and he yelled up, "That's rock and roll, kid. Keep going." And I've kept going, and I haven't stopped. Awesome. And I'm like, and that's the one thing, because everything was kind of white when I was up there. Thank God my mom recorded it for me, because I don't remember anything about it. But I remember being a lot more lucid after that guitar strap fell off, because I was like, okay, now I embarrassed myself. So now it's all uphill from here. So now I could just finish.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's kind of how I started. And after I remember I sucked at first too. But
we all did, yeah, that's for sure.
And I don't even say I'm good now. I just say I suck a little bit less every time. And that's just kind of what you do.
There you go.
Yeah.
Have you been in bands before, or have you always been kind of a solo guy?
Solo guy, never really been in a band. I mean, I performed I was in marching band when I was in high school and stuff. I didn't play guitar, obviously. I played pit percussion. Okay. And I was in my praise band when I went to church and stuff. I was the drummer there. I wrote drum tracks. That's actually was my first bit of I guess it would be what's the term? I can't remember. Not writing, composing. I guess. Yeah, that was my first stint in composition and stuff. But I've never been in a band, but I love to, because it looks fun. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Have you ever just jammed with other people?
Yeah, I've jammed with other people. I most of my newest album were just rough cuts with me in there in
cool.
because we always like would record separately, but this is the first time where we went in there, and I did like my guitar separately and stuff, but those guys played as an ensemble, like guitar, bass, and drums, and I actually cut all my vocals live, every single
cool.
song in there. So
Okay.
I feel like it had more of a punk sound, but
Nice.
that's another one that really also drove me to want to form a band, because that was
Yeah,
fun
sure.
in there.
That sounds like a good
Yeah.
experience. So I'm trying to paint the picture here, right? So recording this third album, what's it going to be called, by the way? Do you have a name for it yet?
Yeah, Architect of Anarchy.
Architect of Anarchy.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it.
Already got the album cover done. Just
yeah?
got to mix a couple more songs. I know if I'm dating this here, but it'll be mixed by January 22nd, and the mastering won't take too. Excuse me, sorry,
Sure.
won't take too long. Oh my god, I know what the hell
That's
happened
all
there.
right. That's all right. Yeah, I mean, as we record this, it's January 4th. So what, like maybe 2 weeks or so? You think that'll be out?
Probably.
So when will it actually be available to listen to?
I'm aiming to release it sometime in either April or May. I'm gonna release some singles here and there and stuff. 2 of the songs I'm playing are going to be
awesome
on the album, and they're going to be singles.
That's
These are
great.
fresh off the press, man. These aren't even released yet, man. You're
Nice.
getting them.
Good.
You hear them
good.
first. It'll be.
Oh yeah, that's right. These will
cool.
be acoustic versions of them, and then they'll be able to hear the full band version once the album comes out. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I want to go back to kind of playing live, right? I know you're primarily, correct me if I'm wrong, but primarily an original music artist.
Yeah.
But then playing live, the expectation quite often is to play cover songs. So how do you manage that balance?
I usually try and play a little bit of both. I play more covers than originals.
Okay.
But I always try and like sprinkle in originals here and there when I play, because I know a lot of people just want to hear covers and stuff a lot of places. But I always announce that it's an original song before I play it.
Okay.
I use that as a way, to shamelessly plug my stuff,
Nice. Very
That's usually
cool.
how I organize it.
Yeah. And how do you think your originals kind of go over when you're playing?
Sometimes they go good. Sometimes people hate them. Some of them. I mean, some covers even. Usually, the when I get a response of dead silence, I'm like, oh.
Well,
I mean, oh, people did not like that.
We all get that though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I feel your pain. I mean, I've been there plenty of times too, where you're basically just background music at the bar or the restaurant or brewery or whatever. You know what I mean? And just because people don't clap after every single song doesn't mean that they think you suck. They're just in their own little world, talking with their friends or eating or drinking or whatever. So
luckily, nobody's ever tried to rush the stage and attack me. That's
that's good. That's always good. Nobody
Yeah,
throws
thank God.
anything at you.
Yeah. Yet.
Yes.
I know. Somebody might be listening, be like, hey.
So with your original music, tell me a little bit about kind of your writing process. How does a song get written in your world?
So it's so I'm a protest writer. So
Right.
unfortunately, it's diminishing returns.
Hey man, you're allowed to talk about whatever you want on this channel, right? I think you and I
Yeah.
have very similar political views. I might just lose half my audience, but
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to keep it neutral. I'm trying not to.
it's up to
I'm
you.
trying-
Whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Nah, but usually it's just, online. I see, if there's something that I see that like gets to me a little bit, up there and stuff. I don't like saber rattling. I don't like arguing with people on the internet. I think that's a waste of time. And
Absolutely, yeah.
the way I get it off my chest is I feel like it's more positive and reassuring and self-fulfilling if I put it into a song, because I feel like it's more productive. Mm-hmm. And that way I'm writing a song when I had to get my opinion out there.
Right.
And that's kind of how a lot of my music goes. Also, some of them are also joke songs where just they mean nothing. I think I had a song about getting high on my first album, but most of my songs I feel like are protest music. But I always try and inject some humor in them because nobody wants to be preached to.
Sure,
and I
sure.
always try and make them a little bit funny. Like I think the one song was "All Because I'm a Patriot" from my first album.
Yeah.
I tried to make that one a little bit funnier with some jokes and stuff.
No, I dig that song. I remember hearing that from your first
man.
one. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
So your subject matter comes from maybe something you see online or social media or whatever, but then how does the song get written? Does a particular phrase stick out and it builds from there, or how does that work?
Usually depends on the song, I think. I always come up with an idea for the song, whether I want it to be like this fast aggressive song or like a joke parody like country western or something like that.
Yep.
Or if I want to write like a medieval style song with like mandolin and stuff. It usually depends on this. I usually come up with like, okay, what is the end goal of this song? And usually I will write an idea from like the chorus. Usually I'll start with the chorus and then I'll build verses around that just to fill in and stuff.
Does the music come first or lyrics, or is it different every time?
A lot of times it's the lyrics and I put music to it and stuff. I mean, and then there's some times where I'll be messing around with my guitar. I'll be playing it and I'll strum like a chord progression. I'll be like, oh, that sounds good. I should put that into a song. And that's usually how it comes about. Yeah.
When you're writing, are you writing on your acoustic or writing on your electric? Because I mean, your songs, I think, are primarily kind of electric and band kind of driven.
Yeah.
You know, so are you writing on your electric and doing kind of that stuff, or is it all still on the acoustic when you're writing?
Still on the acoustic, actually.
Really?
Believe it or not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just because the electric, I feel like I can't focus. I feel like I drift off when I play the electric. I'm like, oh, and I just forget what I'm doing. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I'll play it and I'll be like, oh, wait, no, I want to put more distortion on that.
Yeah,
and I'll be screwing around with the amp and then I'll just forget. And I'll be like, oh, man.
I get that, yeah.
Plus, I feel like with electric, I like playing like riffs more. On electric and stuff. I don't play chords as much and stuff. Yeah, I riff more.
Sure, and when you're playing the acoustic, it's very chord heavy, very few riffs, if any at all.
Yeah. And I'm not a lead guy whatsoever.
No,
I suck at theory.
No.
I'm terrible. I know the C scale. That's it.
There you go. Hey, that's a start. Any ambitions to kind of go down that path as far as learning how to like solo and stuff?
I'd love to. I need to motivate myself. I'm very lazy when it comes to learning that stuff. I could write like songs all the time. I'll always be writing. I'll always be playing chords. But get me to learn lead, and I'm like, I'm gonna do something else. I'm very lazy with it. I
hear you. At least with me, it all depends on kind of what you're passionate about in the moment, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to be drawn to. So, I've been a solo acoustic cover guy for, I don't know, 2.5 years now, like gigging for 2.5 years. And so for the last like 2 years or so, I've been just focused on, what songs am I going to learn and how am I going to get my set right and all that stuff. And hadn't played electric guitar in that time, right? In at least 2 years. And then this past August, Leanne and I went to Nashville and I ended up bringing home an electric guitar.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That's nice, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I mean, we just walked into this place called Groon Music in Nashville. And this guitar basically it was like a stray cat just jumped in my lap. You know what I mean? So ever since I got that and brought that home, I've been really focusing on kind of leveling up my electric guitar skills and stuff.
Yeah.
And watching all kinds of YouTube lessons and all that stuff. So my passion has kind of shifted a little bit to, I really just want to be a better electric guitar player. For now, I'm still doing the acoustic shows and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I still love doing it and I still throw in new songs here and there. But it's funny, like whenever I'm home, I got that electric guitar in hand most of the time.
Oh yeah. Like that's why I'm pulling back too, because the band thing. But I've also just been practicing too, because the one thing is, it was cool playing all these shows last year and stuff, but I feel like I had less time to learn new songs, write more and practice other stuff. I'm starting to find out that turns out electric guitars are a lot more delicate than acoustics. They go out of tune a lot faster and stuff. Yep. I'm having to practice not like banging them right. Because you've seen me play guitar before.
Yeah, you're a pretty aggressive player.
Yeah, and I keep knocking the guitar out of tune. And I think it happened in the studio where Tony he told me, he was like, yeah, Michael, you don't have to play the electric as heavy. And I'm like, oh, that's why it's not staying in tune for like a 2-minute song. Like it would be like 30 seconds in. I'd be like, oh, that doesn't sound good. What happened to the G chord? Yeah, why is it suddenly E?
Talking about equipment, right? I think you've got a Taylor acoustic, right?
Yes.
So where did that? Is that still the same one you had when we first met at Little E's?
I got a new one since then. The old one's it's still around. It's worn down.
Okay.
I almost strummed a hole in it, but
that's why I bring it up. I mean, I can't see the guitar because it's in the case right now. But I remember when we met at Little E's, your acoustic had some wear marks on it, which
Yeah.
in this day and age of people spending thousands of dollars on relic guitars, guitars that look like they've been beat up. I found it interesting that yours actually has wear and tear on it. So.
Yeah, I wear that as a badge of honor.
Absolutely.
That means I practice,
That's
man.
right. That's
yeah,
exactly
man, beat the hell out of that thing. So much so, because my whole thing, I've rarely broken a string, but my biggest fear was always, oh crap, what if I break a string during a show? And I'm like, oh man. My other thought was, what if this thing just dies one day? Like the thing, like because I a plug-in, so.
Right.
And I talked to some people, and they had said you always want to have a backup, and that's why I actually bought this one like a couple months ago. This one's,
nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. So another Taylor and stuff. It actually got a pick guard on there this time, so now hopefully there'll be less wear and tear. That was
cool.
not a good move on my part, getting that first guitar, because I remember like I took it to my friend's house the one time, and he was like, "Oh my God, you almost strummed a hole in this, Mike. What happened?" I think there's like actually a dent in it. I think.
Was it really?
Oh yeah. I mean. Yeah, he was like, "What did you do to this thing?" And I'm like, "I strummed." And he's like, "Dude, you got it. Oh my God, you got it."
Well, it's I'm not a super aggressive player, but I am a little bit heavy-handed when it comes to my right hand. And the guitar that I originally had when I first started gigging, it was just a cheap little $300 Amazon guitar. I think it's called a Walden. If you look at it, the sound hole is not a perfect circle anymore because of my right hand. The pick hitting the edge of the sound hole is making like a groove into the sound hole. And now I play a Gibson J35, and I apparently I still do that. It's not as bad as the older guitar, but yeah, I'm starting to notice a little bit of wear and tear on the inside of that sound hole on the Gibson too.
Yeah, I never had like wear and tear on the guitar before that, because I actually learned on an electric.
Oh,
I didn't really play acoustic until I got to like around like 18 and stuff. But it was a Fender Starcaster, so it was like the kid version.
Oh,
it was tiny, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember eventually I had to get rid of it because I got it. Funny enough, my grandparents actually got it for me for my 8th birthday, and it just sat there collecting dust for like 4 years. And that was actually the one where I actually looked at that guitar and told my parents I wanted to learn guitar. And that was actually how it happened. But eventually I had to get rid of it because the plug-in for the for the amplifier literally fell off.
Oh,
it was so old and stuff.
Wow.
But
yeah,
I but that was one I always it was hard like getting rid of it, because I was like eventually I was like, well, I'm gonna move on from it and stuff because I needed to clear space and stuff. But I kept it to the side, like that's the one I learned on. That one's pretty cool.
You never forget your first one. Yeah,
exactly.
So that's awesome. Yeah, I had like a no-name Stratocaster body style that I got. Burlington used to have a mall called Burlington Center, and there was I forget the name of the guitar store in there, but I got it there for a Christmas present or something. It was black with a black pickguard, and it was probably sounded like crap, but I love that guitar.
A lot of them do. Yeah. I found an old beater in the basement, and this thing sounded like, I'm like, oh my God. Oh no! Is that what they sound like? You get so used to playing these nice guitars, it's like, right. Oh my God!
That's so funny. So tell me about your equipment now, right? So you have the older Taylor. How did you get that? Was that Taylor your first kind of
big boy guitar?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, big boy guitar. Okay. Yeah, that's the way I justify the crazy prices of some of these freaking guitars. It's the big boy one.
It's very true. So how did that first Taylor come about?
So I didn't all my older guitars, I had to like put a mic up to it. I never had a plug-in electric acoustic and stuff. I wanted one because it sounded better. A short microphone, it sounds a lot better too. And I remember I wanted to upgrade. Plus the one I was playing on, I don't know what happened with it, but I think it was like I saw it was some like knockoff brand and stuff. And I remember I always like had problem playing chords because it was awful. And it turns out my old original acoustic didn't like the neck wasn't sanded down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was weird. It was like a baseball bat.
Oh, geez.
Like terrible. And I took it to my friend. And he was like, "Oh my God, no wonder you're having a hard time learning on this guitar. You're playing a baseball bat."
Oh,
that's where he realized, he was like, "You got to upgrade, man."
Yeah.
So then he went with me to, I think it was Guitar Center, and I looked at some guitars. I played a couple, and I remember they had that Taylor there, and I was like, "Oh, this feels great."
What kind of Taylor was it?
I don't even remember.
Okay, all right.
Genuinely, it was just, I remember it sounded really good. I think it was Well, I know this one's what's the term? Is big boy a thing?
Okay.
I don't
know. I
remember.
don't know much about Taylor's.
Big
honestly.
baby. Big
Yeah,
baby. It might be
know.
Big Baby. I get it's big something. Big
Okay.
something.
So
This one.
So you're
is.
not a hardcore gear guy then? I'm getting.
No,
right?
I know very little. I'm more about.
All right.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are into it. I wouldn't know the first thing to tell you.
No, that's
about.
I mean, and that's totally fine. I
Yeah.
can get that, right? Like, I mean, I've had previous guests on, Chuck M, who is a huge gearhead. You know?
Yeah.
And he knows all about everything as far as pedals and amps and guitar models and all
I
that
envy
stuff.
that. I wish
Yeah.
I knew more about that stuff.
So, and then I also, a couple episodes ago, I had Jim Brennan on, and he is very much like, I don't care what the name of it is, as long as it plays good, sounds good, I'm in.
Hell yeah.
So
I agree.
I think you kind of subscribe to that same theory.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, is your electric guitar at home? Is that a big boy guitar, or is that still a no name?
That's a big boy. I
Okay.
bought a Les Paul replica.
Oh,
I
nice.
wanted to because I always liked the way the look and the sound of like the big bodied old like 50s rockabilly style guitars. So
Yeah,
that's the kind I have.
Yeah, and the Les Paul has the two humbuckers in it. So
Yeah.
that's I have an Epiphone Les Paul. I have an Epiphone SG. I'm a big fan of Gibson, as you can tell.
Yeah.
And then I've got a Mexican-made Fender Strat at home, and then I've got my U.S.-made Fender that I bought in Nashville. So
you have a big guitar collection.
a little. I wouldn't say big. I mean, I've got.
That's bigger than mine. I got 3.
Yeah.
I got 3.
I think I've got. Oh my God, what do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 acoustics, and then 1 bass guitar that I use occasionally, like when I'm trying to record stuff at home, and then or occasionally I'll bring it out to Little E's for the heck of it in case somebody wants to play. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, I guess 4 electrics, so 10 altogether.
Okay.
Now I've had previous guests on, again, Chuck M.
Yeah.
He's got like 30 guitars or something like that.
Jesus, man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, and that's just guitars. He's got all kinds of stuff too, pedals and amps, I'm envious for sure.
Oh yeah.
He's got some great stuff.
I used to have a bass, but again, another thing, it just wore out.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten another one. I miss playing the bass.
Did you play it a lot when you had it?
Yeah, I did as far as like playing it, I just did like C scale. I liked like top 2 strings.
Yeah.
I knew a couple of songs. Obviously they were punk songs. I think the most out there thing I learned was the bass line, Beastie Boys. What's the song? The one with the video where they were running around as cops. Sabotage.
Oh, Sabotage.
Yeah. It was that.
Yep.
It was that bass line.
Mm-hmm.
That one was really cool. But
Nice.
I only learned a couple of things. But I haven't
Sure.
practiced in a while. I probably suck now. I was getting pretty good, and then I haven't played it in like 2 years. I'm like, yeah.
Have you had any like unique experiences that you wanted to talk about, or any kind of like memorable shows or anything like that?
This one time, I forget where it was, but I remember I played like an Iron Maiden song,
Okay.
and it was like what was it? I think I was playing The Trooper.
Okay.
Mine's based on like Miles Kennedy from I think Older Bridge. He did a cover of it. It's kind of like lower
Is it an acoustic version?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember I played it and it was just you could hear a pin drop. And to alleviate the moment, I yelled to myself, "Boo! You suck!
Oh my God.
Get off the stage!" Yeah. And people laughed. I'm like, okay, I got them back.
Oh my God, that's funny. I love
But everything else has been fun and stuff. Nothing stand out, but people have come out and stuff, and it's a fun time and stuff. And I hope I don't have many more of those experiences, but you never know.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they're unavoidable. Like I said, sometimes you're just background music. You know what I mean? And the important thing is not to take it personally and just keep going.
Oh yeah, I never do. I always I'm like, no, I have a job to do. I'm not gonna sit here and sulk. You gotta keep pushing forward and stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'll get them with one song. I'll get them with one.
It's all it takes sometimes.
Yeah.
Just one song, reel them back in.
Yeah.
That's
I always
great.
gotta read the room, and I'm like, what would he be into? And then I'm always dead wrong.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I do that all the time.
because I see some guy and I'm like, would he like Neil Young? And it turns out he loves Blank, and I'm like, how? I'm like, man, I do not know how to read a room.
I'm the same way. Sometimes I think I get it right by accident, but then other times I'll be like scanning the room and be like, all right, what songs should I play? based on kind of the demographic of the crowd, and I might focus in on like one particular person. I'll be like, oh, I'm like, he's going to love if I play Led Zeppelin or something. Right. So I do like my one Led Zeppelin song. And then halfway through, he gets up and like goes to the bathroom. And I'm like, damn it.
I've had those. Yeah.
All right. So what songs are you going to play first today?
The first one I'm going to be playing is called Plastic Punk. It's about posers.
Okay. Nice.
I figured I wanted to do that. And the second one is called Surfing in the USSR, but it's spelled like SERF, like serfdom.
SER. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
gotcha.
It's a song about civilian life in Russia because
that's cool.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a super creative title. That's awesome.
Thank you. And it's also on the album. It's got like more like a Beach Boys feel because I wanted to make like a song like kind of like sounding like 50s surf and stuff. I figured, well, if it's surfing, like kind of like surfing in the USA, surfing in the USSR. It's kind of like a parody of that stuff.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Yeah, man.
Thanks very much for being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
No problem. Oh, before we leave or before we get to the performance, how can people find you? Do you have a website, social media, all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm on everything. I have you can find me at Michael Naphys Music on Instagram. I got a Linktree page where you can find all my other stuff. I got albums out. I post covers to my YouTube channel the first Monday of every month. I'm going to try and post more often, but with this year, with more time I'm going to have. But I also, you can find my first 2 albums and my upcoming third and the singles at Michael Naphys on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube Music, Bandcamp, basically every streaming platform. Cool. Yeah.
Do you have any physical copies of your albums or is it all purely streaming?
Yes, I have CDs and stuff. You could find them at my gigs and stuff. I always post about my gigs coming up on Instagram. You could also find a list through my Bands in Town site where I have all of my dates listed coming up and stuff. So
Very cool. So lots of places for people to find you.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
Hey there, everyone. This is my song "Plastic Punk."
I don't watch the news 'cause I don't wanna rock the boat. Music is a business and I'm a businessman. The art died out a while ago and I sold my soul for the highest bid. To write some songs about heartbreak and sing them just like Green Day did. Do I look like a punk? Do I sound like a punk? Do I act like a punk? 'Cause I don't write like one would. You can't criticize me. My skin is like paper mache, but my body is like a wolf tearing at his feeble prey. And if you dare to take the plunge, I'll call upon my lion's den. But phony positivity will be all but gone by then. Do I sound like a punk? Do I act like a punk? Do I look like a punk? 'Cause I don't write like one would. I can't get political, that's just not punk anymore. We lost the edge so long ago when it was kicked right out the door. Come on now, you can't be mad, I swear to God it's not my fault. I'm just climbing the social ladder of being a plastic punk.
Thank you. This is Surfing in the USSR.
Let's go down to the beach, down to Sevastopol. We'll swim in the Black Sea where ships were sunk before. We'll dodge the air to West 'cause the war from us is far. Surfing in the the USSR. Let's go out to the mines where gold is meant to stay. Those sanctions make it harder each and every day. If Mr. Putin cared, he'd help maintain the bar. Surfing in the USSR. Let's keep things nuclear, they're meant to keep us well. But if we drop the ball, it'll be a living hell. Chernobyl is a word that leaves a brutal scar. Surfing in the USSR. Let's keep on moving into oblivion, 'cause there's no hope if you're a lone civilian. We'll burn in hell with all our children and our czar. Surfing in the USSR. Surfing in the USSR. Surfing in the USSR. Thank you.